Hi, boys and girls. This is Ms. Kathy. I'm so happy you've joined me today for another story just for you. Chapter 6, Dangerous Passage. DeeDee shook her head. I don't like tight places. I don't like dust and dark, and I really don't like cobwebs. And I am the one saying we should crawl into this hole in the wall? I must be crazy. What are we getting into? She muttered to herself as she led the way into the secret passage in the wall of Grandma's old bedroom. Jenny, I'm glad you made us change out of our pajamas and put on our jeans and sweatshirts. This passage is dirty. She pulled the cobwebs out of her hair and tried to fan away the dust. I can't see anything back here, Jenny said, on her hands and knees, behind DeeDee. Your body is blocking the way to the light. At least you're not getting cobwebs in the face, DeeDee said. She stopped and picked up the flashlight. I'm glad your mom suggested that you bring a flashlight. She shone it back over her shoulder at Jenny. Me too, Jenny said. Whew, it's dusty in here. Do you think your grandma crawled through the dust every time she came through here? I don't know, DeeDee responded, but the diary says that she came to Captain Morgan's room just about every night. If she came through here that often, I would think that would keep the cobwebs and dust cleaned out. DeeDee shone the flashlight ahead of them into the darkness of the cramped space. What are we looking for? Jenny asked. I mean, I know we're looking for the lost stuff, but where do you think this passage will lead us? Just to another room? DeeDee thought for a minute. I don't know. This is my first real mystery without the rest of the shoebox kids along. The boys or Maria always seem to take over. Now it's just us. Jenny grinned behind DeeDee as DeeDee moved forward again. Well, I think it makes this mystery kind of special. Even if we don't find anything else, it's still been neat. We found an old diary and a secret passage. Jenny paused. But you know, we really don't have any proof that your grandmother used this passageway. This could just be something left when they built the house. How do we know anybody has been here before us? DeeDee stopped again and shone the light all around. Look, there's your proof. She shone the flashlight at 2 letters and a number carved into the wood above their heads. A.H. 1913. A.H. Don't you see, DeeDee said. Abigail Hartford. That's my grandmother. Her name wasn't Adams until she got married. And those are the same years as in her diary. Jenny rolled over on her back and looked at the ceiling. That was the year Captain Morgan was here. She looked farther down the passageway. But look, there are more markings up ahead. The 2 girls crawled ahead, and soon DeeDee saw what Jenny was talking about. Other people had marked their initials on the sides and ceiling of the passageway. Look at this one, Jenny said, pointing at some scratches on one side that read R.E.C. 1859. Wow, DeeDee said, looking around. Here's another one, she said, pointing at one that read E.S. 1861. Do you realize how long ago that was? Jenny said. What were all these people doing in this passageway in those days? Do you think they were people living in this boarding house? Or maybe smugglers? DeeDee thought for a moment. My father told me about something called the Underground Railroad that was sort of like smuggling back before the Civil War, DeeDee said. The slaves who were in the South would run away and try to escape to Canada. People in the North would help them get there and hide them along the way. Are you thinking that this was one of those hiding places? Jenny asked. That's really amazing. But most of the slaves didn't get to go to school at all, DeeDee said. It's strange that they could mark their initials on the wood this way. Maybe whoever lived here taught them how to write their names, or just their initials, Jenny said. Maybe so, DeeDee said. Anyway, it looks like the passageway is turning ahead of us. Good, Jenny said. I don't like small, dark places. You either? DeeDee asked, surprised. DeeDee stopped just before the passageway made a right turn. Why are we stopping? Jenny asked. DeeDee shone her light to the right. Jenny could see that a door with old rusty hinges was attached to the wall. I think we are at Captain Morgan's room, DeeDee said. She pushed, but the door remained closed. Push it again, Jenny urged. I'm trying, DeeDee said with a grunt. I guess it's stuck. Jenny slid forward as much as she could, and the 2 of them pushed on the stuck door. Finally there was a tearing sound, and the girls spilled out into the floor of another room, their flashlight clattering ahead of them. Where are we now? Jenny asked, wiping the sweat and dust from her face and hair. She climbed the rest of the way out of the secret passage entrance. Captain Morgan's room, I guess, DeeDee said, retrieving the flashlight. Hit that light switch by the door over there." "No, wait," Jenny said. She walked over to the window and looked out over the backyard to the river beyond them. "That must have been what your grandmother and Captain Morgan saw when they looked from these windows." DeeDee joined her. "I wonder if grandmother saw those strange lights down by the river that night from here." "You know, we said that Captain Morgan probably got killed," Jenny said, "but maybe he got away. Maybe he was well enough to escape down the river." "Maybe," DeeDee said doubtfully, "but what about where grandmother wrote that Jesus was taking care of him now?" Jenny shrugged. Maybe she just meant that Jesus would have to watch over him wherever he went. DeeDee paused. What about Henry? Who was Henry? Why did they put him in the basement? "You know, I've been thinking about something," Jenny said in response. "Grandma said she snuck down to see Henry all the time, and those people who hid in the secret passage had to have a way to get out of the house without being seen." "So?" DeeDee asked. "So there's got to be other secret passageways." DeeDee snapped her fingers. "There has to be one to the basement, so she could visit Henry." "And another that let people leave the house secretly," Jenny added. Suddenly she turned and looked at DeeDee. At the same time, DeeDee turned to look at her. "The dumbwaiter," they both said at the same time. DeeDee laughed. "I just know the dumbwaiter was part of grandmother's secret passageway through the house. Come on." She started to the door to check the dumbwaiter in the hallway, but Jenny stopped her. "Wait. I don't think that's the way your grandmother would have gotten into it," she said. DeeDee waited. "Why not?" Jenny explained. "She said she sneaked down to see Henry. If she went out into the hallway, anyone could have seen her." DeeDee nodded. "You're right, and I think the door to the dumbwaiter is too far off the ground. She wouldn't have been able to climb into it in the hallway." DeeDee turned and looked back at the secret passage. "So, do we have to go back in there?" Jenny nodded. "I think this passage will lead us to another entrance to the dumbwaiter." DeeDee shivered. "Are you sure?" Jenny smiled. "So your grandmother really is braver and more daring than you are?" she asked. DeeDee's head snapped up. "No way," she answered with a grin. "Come on, let's get going." "Okay," Jenny said as she headed to the little doorway. She grabbed the flashlight from DeeDee as she passed her. "But it's my turn to be in front." The girls climbed back into the passageway and continued on to the right. The tiny hallway went straight for another 6 feet before turning right. DeeDee huffed as she followed Jenny on her hands and knees. "Now I know about the dark you were complaining about," DeeDee said. "All I can see is the back of you. Hey, watch it." DeeDee ran into Jenny as she abruptly stopped. "End of the road," Jenny said, squeezing herself flat against the side so DeeDee could see. The narrow passageway stopped with a black open space in front of them. 2 ropes crossed the space from top to bottom. "It's a good thing we had this flashlight," Jenny said. "If we had been going in the dark, I would have crawled right off into space." DeeDee looked more closely at the ropes. "It's the dumbwaiter," she announced. "Now, do we go up or down?" "Down is where Henry was supposed to be," Jenny said. "Up may be the escape route for the Underground Railroad." DeeDee nodded. "We need to stick together," DeeDee said. "We only have one flashlight." Jenny agreed. "Right. Now, how do you call for this little elevator?" "I think you are supposed to pull on those ropes," DeeDee answered. She slid forward to help Jenny pull the ropes. The girls pulled on the left rope and heard something moving in the elevator shaft below them. "Here it is," Jenny announced when the box came into view. "But it's too small." DeeDee frowned. "I see what you mean. The dumbwaiter was only intended to carry food. I guess grandmother could fit if she curled up in a ball, but only one person could fit inside." She thought for a second. "One of us will have to go first, and then the other," she decided. "I'll go first." "But we only have one flashlight," Jenny cried. "I'll have to wait in the dark." DeeDee could tell that Jenny was afraid. "Maybe we should go back and find another flashlight." Jenny took a deep breath. "No, we're too close," she said. "You go ahead and take the flashlight. I'll wait and follow." DeeDee nodded and climbed into the small elevator. She shone the flashlight back at Jenny. "I think we should go to the attic first," she said. "I'll send the elevator back when I get up there. You climb in, and I'll pull the elevator back up. All you'll have to do is hold on." Jenny nodded. She watched as DeeDee pulled on the rope, and the elevator took DeeDee and the light up the elevator shaft and out of sight. But a feeling of panic crept into her mind as the darkness covered her. "It's just like being in my darkroom at home," she told herself. "It's not any different." But the scared feeling didn't go away. After a few very long minutes, Jenny could hear the rope swaying back and forth. She put out her hand and felt them. The ropes began to slide through her hand, and she heard the dumbwaiter moving down the shaft toward her. "It's about time," she muttered to herself as the elevator slid into position. She climbed into the cramped dumbwaiter space and waited. Nothing happened. Then she heard DeeDee. "It's stuck," her muffled voice said. "The elevator rope is stuck. Help me pull it." Jenny reached over and grabbed one of the ropes and began pulling. It is stuck, she thought. The rope must have come off the pulley. She and DeeDee pulled for a long moment before Jenny felt the elevator begin to move again. At last, she thought. Suddenly, she felt the elevator jerk to the side, and one edge of the dumbwaiter came up. Wait a minute, she yelled up to DeeDee, but DeeDee kept pulling. Twang! Jenny heard something snap, and the elevator began sliding down. "DeeDee!" Jenny screamed. "I'm falling!" The elevator picked up speed as it dropped into the darkness below.
The story you have heard today is a chapter of The Shoebox Kids, Book 7, The Clue in the Secret Passage, written by Glenn Robinson, edited and created by Jerry D. Thomas, and used with permission from the Pacific Press Publishing Association. If you're interested in any other books published by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, please visit AdventistBookCenter.com or call 1-800-765-6955.
This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.